You may not realize it yet, but life has been whispering something to you for years. In the quiet moments when the world falls silent, in the restless nights when your heart feels heavy, in the sudden bursts of strength that rise inside you when you thought you had none left, there has been a message woven into every breath you've ever taken, a message you kept searching for in other people. In their approval, in their affection, in their decisions, as if the key to your worth was hidden somewhere outside your own soul. But the truth is simpler, and yet far more profound. It's always been you. It has always been you who carried the fire that others tried to dim. You who held on when everything around you fell apart. You who felt forgotten, overlooked, unchosen, and still kept walking through valleys that would have crushed a weaker heart. The strength you begged for was already inside you, quietly waiting to be recognized. The love you chased in others was a reflection of the love planted within you long before you knew how to name it. You might think life has been unfair, that people have failed you, that opportunities slipped through your fingers as if they were never meant for you. Yet if you look closely, you'll see a pattern. Moments where you were carried through storms you should not have survived. Moments where you rose from disappointments that should have broken you. And in each of those moments, something ancient and unwavering within you whispered, "Get up. You are not done." You thought it was hope. You thought it was faith. You thought it was luck. But it was you, your spirit, your resilience, your unshakable core, refusing to let darkness write the story of your life. People may have walked away, but you stayed. Circumstances may have changed, but you adapted. Doors may have closed, but you kept knocking on the next one, even when your hands trembled. You have been your own miracle far more times than you've ever acknowledged. That quiet bravery, that gentle persistence, that refusal to surrender when you feel unseen, those are not small things. Those are the threads of destiny woven through your soul. And perhaps the greatest tragedy is not that others doubted you, but that you believed them, that you shrank yourself to fit into their expectations, forgetting that your story was never meant to be written by their limited imaginations. You were shaped for something larger, crafted with intention, designed with purpose. Every challenge you faced was not a punishment, but a revelation, a way to uncover the strength, wisdom, and clarity that were already resting within you. So before you look outward again, before you ask the world to confirm your worth or validate your journey, pause and return to the quiet truth that has been calling your name since the beginning, the truth that you have ignored, argued with, and run away from, the truth that still stands patiently, waiting for you to finally accept it. It's always been you. The strength you search for in the world has always been a quiet companion within you, waiting for recognition, waiting for the moment you finally see what life has been trying to show you, through every joy, every wound, and every unanswered question. It is easy to imagine strength as something external, something given by people, circumstances, or the approval of those who stand around you. That is why so many spend years longing for someone to empower them, to lift them, to remind them that they are capable. Yet the truth is far more intimate than anything the world could provide. What has carried you through your darkest hours was not an outside force, but the quiet, stubborn fire that has lived inside your soul since the beginning. Think back to the moments you thought would destroy you, the nights when your chest felt heavy, when your mind was crowded with fears, when the future seemed blurry and hopeless. You survived them, not because someone stepped in to rescue you, but because something within refused to let you collapse. You gave yourself reasons to rise, even when no one applauded your effort. You held on when others would have surrendered. That was strength whispering. Not loudly, not dramatically, but with a steady, unwavering persistence. Many people spend their lives believing strength must look grand and heroic, as if it is only real when it comes with noise, victory, or recognition. Yet your strength has shown itself in quieter ways. It showed itself in the mornings you got out of bed when grief weighed on your chest. It showed itself in the moments you chose kindness instead of bitterness, even when you were the one wounded. It showed itself when you continued giving your best, in situations where your effort went unseen, unthanked, and unappreciated. True strength is often invisible to the world, yet unmistakably felt within the person who carries it. You may not have named it strength at the time. You may have called it survival, habit, or necessity. But deep inside, something older than pain and wiser than fear kept stirring your spirit forward. It reminded you, however subtly, that you were built to endure more than the world expected of you. Every breath you took in a moment of struggle, every step you made toward healing, every boundary you created to protect your heart, all of these were quiet declarations of the strength woven into your being. And perhaps this is why you struggled for so long to believe in yourself. You were waiting for strength to feel louder, clearer, more obvious. You expected it to roar. Instead, it hummed. You expected it to strike like lightning. Instead, it burned like an ember, small enough to overlook, yet powerful enough to outlast storms. In the silence of your hardship, you mistook quiet for weak, forgetting that many of the earth's strongest things are silent. Mountains, oceans, dawn, healing. Your strength is no different. There were days when you doubted your own voice, moments when you questioned whether resilience existed in you at all. You looked around and saw others celebrated for their victories, while your victories felt invisible even to yourself. Yet invisibility has never meant insignificance. In fact, it is often the unseen strength that shape a person's destiny the most. The world rarely notices the courage it takes simply to keep going, but heaven does, and your soul certainly does. If you could see yourself the way life sees you, you would understand how remarkable your endurance has been. You have walked through battles that would have swallowed many. You have shed tears that came from a place of deep tenderness, not weakness. You have rebuilt yourself repeatedly, without the luxury of applause or acknowledgement. Each time you thought you could not go on, you still did. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but faithfully. That alone is a testimony of strength far greater than you have ever allowed yourself to claim. The strength you search for outside, from people, from circumstances, from reassurance, mirrors a longing to finally accept the truth about who you are. You have not survived by accident or luck. You survived because something divine and unbreakable within you kept choosing life, choosing growth, choosing light, even when darkness covered everything. You survived because the strength you seek was never missing. It was simply waiting for the moment when you would stop looking outward, turn inward, and recognize the quiet force that has been holding your world together all along. If more people knew how much strength rests inside them, they would stop begging the world to validate what was never the world's to give. Your strength is not borrowed. It is not granted by another's approval. It is yours, ancient, resilient, and deeply rooted in the very essence of who you are. And now, as life brings you forward, you will begin to understand that the greatest power you ever needed has been with you from the beginning, faithful even when you doubted it, unwavering even when you felt broken. It has always been you. Every time you rose after being broken, something profound was unfolding, something far greater than a simple recovery or a return to normal life. Rising after pain is not an instinct, it is a revelation. It is the soul remembering its own origin, recalling a strength that predates the wounds inflicted upon it. You did not rise because circumstances made it easy. You rose because your spirit refused to let suffering define the end of your story. And the astonishing part is that you often misunderstand your own resilience. You call it luck, timing, distraction, or moving on, but it was none of these. It was the resilience that has always lived inside you, stepping forward each time life tried to convince you that you were defeated. Think about the moments that pushed you to the edge. Those days when the weight of betrayal, heartbreak, or disappointment felt too heavy to bear. You were not expected to stand under that weight. Many would have collapsed. Many did collapse under far less. But something within you refused to die where you were wounded. Something called you toward life, even while everything inside you felt numb. It wasn't a voice of thunder or a dramatic burst of courage. It was a gentle insistence, almost quiet enough to miss, whispering that your story was not finished yet. People will see your recovery and think you are strong because you never fall. But strength has never been the absence of falling. It is the refusal to stay down when life has knocked the breath from your lungs. You rose in moments when no one was watching, no one was cheering, and no one even knew the battle raging inside you. You rose without applause, without comfort, and without assurances. Rising in silence is one of the highest forms of courage because it reveals who you are when the world is not looking. The resilience inside you is older than your sorrow. It existed before your heartbreak. It existed before the first person ever underestimated you. This resilience was planted within you as a safeguard, a reminder that even when your heart breaks, your spirit remains unbroken. Many people confuse resilience with hardness, as if rising again means becoming bitter, guarded, or cold. But your strength showed itself differently. You rose not by becoming less human, but by refusing to let pain erase your tenderness. You rose with compassion still intact, with empathy still alive, with love still possible. That is a rare and magnificent form of strength. You may not realize how extraordinary it is to rise gently. Many rise angry. Many rise with vengeance. Many rise with hearts turned to stone. But you rose with a heart that still feels deeply. That alone makes your resilience something sacred. It means pain did not steal your ability to see beauty. It means sorrow did not blind you to truth. It means betrayal did not convince you that love is a lie. It means the darkness you walked through could not extinguish the little light you kept alive within yourself. Life has tried to break you repeatedly, not because you are weak, but because you are worth testing. A soul like yours carries a depth that lesser people cannot understand. They see how you rise again and again, but they do not see the private wars you fight in silence. They do not see the nights when you sit alone, holding yourself together, with nothing but faith in tomorrow. They do not see the inner battles where you choose healing over bitterness, forgiveness over revenge, growth over stagnation. Rising is not a single act. It is a series of choices made in the quietest, most fragile moments of existence. And yet, every time you rose, you became someone wiser, not harder, but wiser. You learned what wounds could not destroy. You learned what loneliness could not steal. You learned what disappointment could not erase. You discovered that even shattered pieces can reflect light, and that sometimes being broken is not the end, but the beginning of a new understanding of yourself. Each rise has been a testament to the truth that your spirit is untouchable. No matter who hurt you, no matter who walked away, no matter what you lost, something inside you stayed intact. Something the world did not give you and therefore cannot take away. The world often admires visible triumphs, awards, achievements, victories that can be measured. But your greatest victories happened where no one was looking. Your triumphs were private, internal, hidden in the quiet corners of your soul. And yet these are the victories that define you, not because they were loud, but because they were real. The strength that brought you back to your feet was not borrowed. It was not a gift from someone else. It came from within, rising up like a forgotten memory, ancient, familiar, faithful. And the more you rise, the more you realize something powerful. Your resilience is not a reaction to pain, but a reflection of who you have always been. It has always been you. The love, validation, and acceptance you chased in others were never signs of weakness, but reflections of something sacred inside you, waiting to be acknowledged. You were not searching because you were empty. You were searching because you forgot that the well you were trying to fill was already full. From childhood, you were taught, by experiences, by people, by disappointments, that worth is something earned through the approval of others. So you grew believing that someone needed to choose you before you could choose yourself, that someone had to love you before you were allowed to feel lovable. And without realizing it, you placed pieces of your identity in the hands of those who were never capable of carrying them. Once who? When someone praised you, you felt seen. When someone dismissed you, you felt invisible. When someone embraced you, you felt worthy. When someone walked away, you wondered what flaw inside you pushed them out. You built mirrors in other people, hoping they would reflect back the truth you were afraid to claim on your own. But mirrors are unreliable when held by unstable hands. And many of the people you trusted with your reflection were broken themselves, unable to see their own worth, let alone yours. The longing for acceptance was not a flaw, but a hunger for remembrance, a desire to reconnect with the love that already lived within you. You went searching for pieces of yourself in the hearts of others, believing they held the missing parts. But what you were truly searching for was permission to believe that you mattered, that your presence had weight, that your existence had value. And so you mistook temporary affection for truth, momentary attention for identity, and the comfort of companionship for the foundation of self-worth. Life, however, has a gentle way of revealing the truth, even when it feels cruel. The people who failed you were not meant to define you. The rejections you faced were not final judgments of your value. Each one was a redirection. A reminder that you were looking for something in the wrong place. You wanted others to tell you who you were, but that knowledge was never theirs to give. Only your own soul carries the blueprint of your identity. This is why you felt disappointed so often. You expected others to recognize the depth of your heart, but many saw only what their own limited perception allowed. You expected people to understand your love, your loyalty, your sincerity. But people can only understand at the level of their own emotional maturity. You expected relationships to confirm your importance, but a heart that is unsure of itself will misread even genuine affection. And when people failed to mirror your value back to you, you weren't just hurt, you felt lost. You wondered whether something in you was broken, defective, or unlovable. But nothing was wrong with you. The problem was the direction of your gaze. You were looking externally for what was meant to be discovered internally. The acceptance you craved was not a gift, but a realization. Imagine a person who spends their whole life searching for treasure, unaware that the treasure is buried beneath their own home. That was you. You kept hoping someone would come along, point to you, and say, "You are enough." But the truth was waiting within you, quietly echoing the same words, hoping you would finally listen. The love you gave to others so freely was proof that you possessed what you were seeking. You were capable of compassion, loyalty, forgiveness, and generosity. Not because someone taught you, but because those qualities lived inside you naturally. The only thing missing was the reflection. You wanted someone else to hold up a mirror and show you that the beauty you extended outward also existed within. And now, life is teaching you something profound. The love you seek in others will always disappoint you until you learn to recognize it within yourself. The moment you learn to see your own worth, the world changes. Not because the world becomes kinder, but because you no longer place your identity in the hands of people who cannot hold it. You are learning that acceptance from others feels fragile when acceptance from yourself is missing. You are learning that validation from others fades quickly when it competes with your own self-doubt. You are learning that dependence on external approval creates a life of emotional slavery. But the moment you realize that your deepest need is not to be chosen by others, but to finally choose yourself, everything shifts. Your journey was never about finding someone to complete you. It was about remembering that you were never incomplete. The love you chased was a reflection of the love within you. The acceptance you longed for was waiting in your own heart. The validation you sought in the eyes of others was simply the universe urging you to see yourself clearly for the first time. The storms you survived were not signs of abandonment, but moments designed to reveal the depth of your endurance. Every hardship you faced carried a purpose far greater than the pain it brought. When you stood in the middle of situations that felt impossible to bear, when you felt stripped of certainty, when people you trusted walked away, when life seemed to unravel around you, the instinctive thought was that you had been left alone. But isolation was never the truth. The truth was that something within you was awakening, something you could not have discovered under calm skies and easy days. Storms expose foundations. They shake what is weak and reveal what is unshakable. Each storm in your life served as a mirror, showing you not who you pretended to be, but who you truly were at your core. You learned more about your strength during those turbulent seasons than you ever could have learned in comfort. You learned what hurts you, what heals you, what breaks you. You learned the language of your soul in a way that only struggle can teach. The most profound kind of strength is not shown in triumph, but in endurance. It is the ability to keep breathing when the air feels thin, to take the next step when the path disappears beneath your feet, to hold on to a thread of faith when everything else seems lost. And you did that, again and again. No storm ever arrived to destroy you, even though some came close enough to make you fear that was their purpose. Their true purpose was to introduce you to the parts of yourself you had forgotten, the courage you didn't realize you possessed, the wisdom you didn't know you carried, the resilience you didn't believe belonged to you. You may not have felt strong while you were surviving. You may have cried, doubted, questioned, pleaded for relief. But strength is not the absence of fear. It is the choice to move even while fear wraps itself around your heart. Every tear you shed was a sign of how deeply you felt, not how weak you were. Every moment you questioned your future was proof that you cared about it. Every time you thought you couldn't go on but still did was a quiet victory far greater than any public triumph. Paths that lead to deep purpose are often paved with confusion before clarity arrives. Your storms were not punishments, they were transitions. They were the violent breaking of old patterns, the shaking loose of what no longer belonged, the necessary discomfort that precedes transformation. A seed cannot grow without breaking. A heart cannot expand without stretching. A life cannot evolve without disruption. And yet, in the middle of it, you mistook transformation for abandonment, because it didn't look like growth. It looked like loss. The truth that storms reveal is simple. Everything that can be shaken will be shaken so that what is truly yours can remain. Some relationships were removed not to harm you but to protect you. Some opportunities slipped away because they were too small for who you were becoming. Some doors closed so loudly that you mistook their shutting for rejection, not realizing they were guiding you towards something more aligned with your future self. Pain makes clarity sharp. Storms strip away illusions. In the chaos, you learned who truly stood beside you and who only loved the idea of you. You learned who you could trust and who only offered temporary loyalty. You learned that some people will hold your hand only until the rain begins, and others will anchor themselves to your soul, even when the winds threaten to tear everything apart. These lessons were bitter, but they were necessary. And while you stood in the darkness, thinking you were forgotten, the truth was the opposite. The storms revealed how deeply protected you were. You were held through every moment when you felt abandoned. You were guided through every step that seemed impossible to take. You were strengthened in every place that had once felt fragile. You came out of the storms not merely surviving, but transformed. The endurance you displayed was not accidental. It was evidence of something powerful inside you, something unshaken by circumstances. You weathered the storms not because they were easy, but because your spirit refused to be broken by them. The winds that threatened to destroy you only cleared the path ahead. The rain that soaked you only nourished your becoming. And, amid the thunder and chaos, the quiet truth echoed through your soul. Each storm was not the end of your story, but the beginning of your rising. The people who overlooked you did not diminish your worth. Their blindness simply revealed that your value was never meant to be measured by their sight. You spent years believing that being unnoticed was a reflection of some flaw in you, something lacking, something incomplete, something unworthy of attention. But the truth is that some hearts are too small to recognize the magnitude of yours. Some minds are too limited to comprehend the depth of your spirit. Their failure to see you was not a verdict on your identity. It was an exposure of their inability. Being overlooked can pierce deeper than open rejection. When rejection comes, at least it is clear. Overlooking is quieter, more subtle, a slow erosion of self-confidence if you're not careful. It whispers lies that you are ordinary, forgettable, replaceable. It makes you shrink your voice, dim your light, soften your presence, because a part of you begins to believe that invisibility must be safer than being seen and misunderstood. But shrinking does not protect the soul, it suffocates it. Your worth has never depended on the recognition of the crowd. The most precious things on earth, diamonds beneath rock, gold buried in mountains, pearls hidden in oceans, are concealed before they are admired. Hiddenness is not punishment, it is preparation. You were not hidden because you lacked value, but because premature exposure would have placed you in the hands of those incapable of appreciating you. Some people can only value what shines loudly. They miss the quiet brilliance resting in depth. They miss the radiance that doesn't demand attention but carries it naturally. The truth is, you were never meant to be seen by everyone. Some eyes do not possess the clarity required to perceive souls like yours. Some hearts are closed rooms where your light was never meant to enter. Some relationships were too shallow to hold the depth of your presence. And yet you convinced yourself that their inability to notice you was proof that something was wrong with you. It wasn't. It was proof that you were aligning with the wrong observers. Think of the moments when you offered your sincerity to people who did not know what to do with it. You extended your loyalty to those who treated it as ordinary. You brought your compassion into the lives of those who mistook it for convenience. Their inability to treasure what you brought was not a reflection of you. It was evidence that they were not capable of receiving something so rare. A thirsty person recognizes water. A starving heart recognizes love. But those who overlook abundance often do so because they have never learned how to receive it. You were not overlooked because you were unworthy. You were overlooked because you carried a depth that could not be easily understood. People often ignore what they cannot categorize. They walk past souls whose presence asks them to grow, to feel, to confront their own emptiness. It is easier for them to dismiss you than to face themselves, and so they overlook. They pretend not to see. They minimize your significance because acknowledging it would challenge their comfort. Life used those seasons to teach you a quiet truth. The right eyes will not miss you. The right hearts will not overlook you. The right people will not need to be convinced of your worth. When you walk into the space meant for you, you will not have to fight for visibility. Your presence will speak for itself. Your value will echo without effort. The light of your flame will echo without effort. Those who are meant to see you will recognize you not because you shine more brightly, but because their eyes have finally matured enough to understand the kind of light you carry. One day you will look back and realize something important. Being overlooked saved you from emotional prisons disguised as relationships. It saved you from giving your future to people who would have mishandled it. It saved you from attaching your destiny to those who could not walk beside you. It saved you from wasting your brilliance on those who did not have the capacity to reflect it. The truth that life whispers into every overlooked moment is gentle but firm. Your worth has always been independent of their attention. You were enough before anyone noticed. You were valuable before anyone acknowledged you. You were significant before anyone affirmed it. The only thing missing was your own recognition. Your worth is not up for negotiation, not subject to popularity, not measured in applause. It is anchored in your being, steady and unmoved. And as your eyes begin to open, you will finally understand what was true all along. The people who overlooked you did not determine your value. They simply revealed that your value never depended on them. The pain you endured did not make you weaker. It carved understanding, empathy, and wisdom into your soul in ways you never expected. Pain is a strange sculptor. It chips away at illusions, breaks down false identities, and reshapes a person into someone truer, someone deeper, someone more aware. While you were wishing for the hurt to stop, something unseen was shaping you from within. Each tear you shed watered a seed of insight. Each heartbreak expanded your vision of the world. Each disappointment refined your perception of people. Nothing that hurt you left you without leaving behind a lesson that strengthened your spirit. The softness you carry today, the gentleness in your voice, the understanding in your eyes, the patience in your heart, did not come from easy experiences. It was born from the moments when you cried quietly, from the nights when the weight of betrayal felt unbearable, from the days when you questioned whether your kindness had any place in a world that often rewards cruelty. Pain expanded your heart rather than closing it. That is not the reaction of a weak person. That is the mark of someone whose inner core refuses to let darkness define their humanity. You learned to feel deeply because you suffered deeply. You learned how to comfort others because once comfort was all you prayed for. You learned how to listen without judgment because once you wished someone would understand you without forcing you to explain your pain. You learned how to stand beside others in their storms because you knew what it felt like to walk through your own without support. All the qualities that make you remarkable, your compassion, your discernment, your emotional intelligence, were refined in the fire of your hardest days. People often misunderstand the nature of strength. They think strength means being untouched by pain, unshaken by loss, unmoved by sorrow. But the truth is that real strength is shaped by the very things that break you. A heart that has never been wounded cannot fully understand love. A soul that has never been tested cannot fully embody resilience. A mind that has never faced darkness cannot fully appreciate light. Your pain did not reduce you, it expanded your capacity to experience the world with clarity and depth. Every scar you carry holds a story, not of defeat but of survival, not of ruin but of rebirth. Pain forced you to confront parts of yourself you didn't know existed. It forced you to question the meaning of loyalty, trust, and love. It forced you to look at your own patterns, your own choices, your own boundaries. And though the process was painful, it led you to discover a version of yourself who is stronger, wiser, and far more aware than the person you were before. Consider how your understanding of people has changed. You no longer take words at face value. You learn to listen to tone, to energy, to patterns. You learn that not everyone who smiles has good intentions. You learn that not everyone who promises care can deliver it. Pain sharpened your intuition in a way nothing else could. Now you see through disguises that once fooled you. Now you recognize red flags that you once ignored. Now you understand the difference between someone who values you and someone who simply wants access to you. And with that understanding came empathy. Not the fragile, naive kind that tries to save everyone, but the grounded kind that knows how to sit with another person's sorrow without losing yourself in it. You became someone who feels deeply without drowning, cares deeply without collapsing, and loves deeply without abandoning your own needs. These are signs of a soul that has matured through pain, not been weakened by it. Your heart didn't close after it was broken. It widened. It learned to love with more caution, but also with more authenticity. It learned to give without losing itself. It learned to forgive without forgetting the lesson. It learned that some people are meant to pass through your life to teach you what love should never feel like, and others come to show you what love can be. Pain also taught you something else, something essential. It taught you that you can survive more than you imagined. It taught you that you can build again after collapse. It taught you that you can find meaning in the ruins of what once felt perfect. You did not emerge weaker. You emerged transformed. And transformation is never a sign of fragility. It is a sign of evolution. The pain you endured became a quiet teacher, guiding you toward wisdom others spend a lifetime searching for. It softened you where life tried to make you cold. It cleared your vision where deception tried to blind you. It grounded you where chaos tried to shake you. And through it all, one truth emerged with gentle certainty. What hurt you did not diminish you. It shaped you into someone far stronger than you once believed yourself to be. Every closed door, every betrayal, and every disappointment pushed you closer to discovering the truth that your story was never dependent on others. It is natural to want life to unfold gently, to hope people stay loyal, to trust that opportunity will reward sincerity. But life does not shape greatness through ease. It shapes greatness through redirection, and the moments you thought were setbacks were actually the moments that steered you back toward yourself. When a door closed, you felt rejected. When someone betrayed you, you felt shattered. When disappointment echoed through your chest, you felt abandoned by the very things you believed were meant for you. But in hindsight, you can trace a line between every loss and every moment of growth. Nothing left your life without leaving space for something truer to enter. Nothing collapsed without revealing the strength you didn't know you had. Nothing ended without pulling you one step closer to the path where your soul was meant to walk. Closed doors hurt because they interrupt your expectations. You imagined a future that depended on certain people, certain plans, certain promises, and when those things fell apart, you mourned not only what happened, but what you envisioned. But consider what would have happened if every door stayed open, if every person you cared about remained, if every plan you made unfolded perfectly. You would have lived a smaller life, one shaped by comfort, not calling, one shaped by familiarity, not growth. Every door that shut was an invitation to rise above your own imagination and step into a destiny wider than the one you designed. Some doors shut because what you wanted was too small for who you were becoming. Some doors shut because you were meant to learn independence, strength, and self-trust before stepping into the next season of your life. Some doors shut because if they had remained open, you would have settled for far less than you deserve. Betrayal, in its own painful way, carried the same purpose. It exposed who was never truly aligned with your heart. It revealed whose loyalty was conditional, whose love was shallow, whose presence was temporary. You learned painful truths about people you trusted, not because life wanted to break you, but because you needed clarity before entering a future where these same individuals could not be allowed to follow. Betrayal opened your eyes to the reality that some people were assignments, not partners. Some were lessons, not lifetimes. Some were chapters, not the entire book. And even in the middle of heartbreak, you discovered something priceless. You began to return to yourself. You stopped giving pieces of your soul to those who did not know how to hold them. You stopped seeking validation from people who had no idea how to see your worth. You stopped bending, shrinking, or silencing yourself to maintain relationships that were never meant to last. Pain ended what you were too loyal to end yourself. Disappointment also played a role in shaping your strength. You faced situations where your effort did not match the outcome, where your sincerity did not protect you, where your hopes were met with silence, and though each disappointment felt like a step backward, it was pulling you inward. It was teaching you that your happiness cannot depend on unstable things. It was teaching you that peace cannot come from outside approval. It was teaching you that your worth is not tied to being chosen by others. Little by little, you began to understand a truth you had overlooked for years. Your story was never meant to revolve around who stayed, who supported you, who believed in you, or who walked away. The story of your life has always been anchored in your own becoming, and the people who left, the doors that closed, the expectations that fell apart, all served the sacred purpose of returning you to yourself. You grew not because life made it easy, but because loss forced you to examine what truly mattered. You became wiser because broken trust taught you to see with greater clarity. You became stronger because surviving disappointment taught you how to rebuild without losing yourself. You became more compassionate because your own pain opened your heart in ways comfort never could. Everything that left your life was clearing the space needed for your soul to breathe. Everything that hurt you was shaping the person you were designed to become. Everything that crumbled was revealing that the foundation of your future could never have been built on the fragility of others. And now, as you look at your journey, you begin to understand that none of it was meant to destroy you. Every step, every tear, every silent night was leading you to realize that your destiny has never depended on anyone else's loyalty or recognition. It has always depended on the strength that rises within you each time you refuse to let loss define you. Your journey has always been waiting for the moment you finally turn inward and realize that the hero you needed, the strength you longed for, and the love you sought have always been you. For so long you searched the world, hoping that someone would arrive with clarity, with comfort, with direction. Someone who would take your hand and say, "I see you. I understand you. I will walk with you." You believed that healing would come from another's presence, that strength would come from another's support, that peace would come from another's acceptance. But the journey of your life was never designed that way. Every path, every challenge, every breakthrough was gently guiding you back to the truth hidden within your own soul. You have always carried more power than you allowed yourself to see. People taught you to minimize your worth, to dim your light, to rely on their approval, and you absorbed those lessons without question. You were told that humility meant shrinking, that love meant giving everything until nothing remained for yourself, that strength meant carrying burdens without ever asking for help. You tried to live by these definitions, believing they were noble, believing they were right, yet each time you gave too much of yourself, a small voice within you whispered that something was off, something essential was missing. That missing piece was not strength or direction or love. It was recognition. Recognition of yourself. Recognition of the truth that you were never meant to beg for what you already possessed. Recognition that the qualities you admired in others, courage, resilience, generosity, were reflections of your own soul trying to reveal itself to you. Recognition that the longing you carried was not for another person, but for your own awakening. Every struggle you faced was part of this awakening. When you were left alone, life was not abandoning you. It was removing the noise so you could finally hear your own voice. When people walked away, life was not punishing you. It was clearing space so you could learn to stand on your own feet. When your heart broke, life was not trying to destroy you. It was cracking open the walls you built around your truest self. Every disappointment carried a hidden invitation for you to return to the center of your being. Look at how far you've come. Look at how many times you stitched yourself back together. Look at how many battles you fought silently. Look at how many storms you survived without the shelter of another's reassurance. These are not signs of someone fragile. These are the marks of someone who possesses an inner strength so profound that even you have not fully understood it yet. You kept waiting for someone to arrive and save you without realizing that you were already saving yourself. Each morning you got up when sadness begged you to stay in bed. Each time you forgave when anger tried to consume you. Each moment you tried again when life gave you reasons to give up. You were the one who held yourself through grief. You were the one who pushed forward through fear. You were the one who chose healing instead of bitterness. You were the one who stayed kind even when it hurt. No one else lived your battles for you. No one else walked through your fire. You did that. The love you were searching for was meant to be discovered in your own reflection. You have a heart capable of depth, understanding, forgiveness, and compassion, qualities you believed made you vulnerable, but which actually made you extraordinary. You learned to give love freely, thinking others carried it better, but the truth is you were learning how to give it to yourself. You just didn't realize it yet. The journey inward can feel lonely at first, especially for someone who has always looked outward for guidance. It can feel unfamiliar to trust your own voice, to listen to your own intuition, to follow your own wisdom. But this unfamiliarity is the beginning of transformation. Once you begin to see yourself clearly, to recognize your strength, to acknowledge your worth, to embrace your identity, you begin to understand why nothing external ever filled the emptiness inside you. You begin to understand why nothing external ever filled the emptiness inside you. It wasn't because you were lacking, it was because the answer was never outside of you. Everything you thought you needed from others was a shadow of something already living within you. You did not need someone to choose you, you needed to choose yourself. You did not need someone to save you. You needed to recognize you were already saving yourself. You did not need someone to validate your worth. You needed to stop handing your worth to people who could not comprehend it. Your life is shifting now because your gaze is shifting. You are beginning to see yourself with the clarity you once hoped others would offer. You are beginning to understand your worth without waiting for permission. You are beginning to trust your own steps instead of begging others to lead you. And as this recognition deepens, the truth becomes undeniable. The hero you have been waiting for is not coming from the outside. You stand now at the edge of a quiet revelation, the kind that does not announce itself with thunder, yet changes everything. The journey you walked, the wounds you carried, the lessons you gathered, all point to one undeniable truth. You were never as lost as you believed, never as broken as you feared, never as alone as you felt. The strength that carried you, the courage that rebuilt you, the love that sustained you, did not come from the hands of others. It rose from within you like a sunrise, waiting for the right moment to break through the horizon. All the seasons of being unseen, all the nights of silent tears, all the moments when you questioned your worth were not moments of failure, they were moments of becoming. You were being shaped, refined, prepared for the person you were always meant to meet, yourself. And now, with clearer eyes and a steadier heart, you can finally see what life has been whispering into every corner of your story. The answers you sought, the validation you craved, the guidance you begged for, they were never out of reach, they were never outside of you, they were never in the hands of those who came and went. The truth stands quietly but firmly. Everything you needed to rise was planted in you from the very beginning. The world did not have the power to complete you because you were never incomplete. The people who left did not take pieces of you because you were never dependent on their presence to begin with. Every chapter, every shift, every ending has guided you back to the same truth. One that asks for nothing but your acceptance. You have become the strength you once prayed for, the wisdom you once longed for, the love you once searched for in distant places. Your story was never about being saved by another, but about awakening to the depth of who you truly are. And now that you have seen it, now that you have touched the truth of your own resilience, your life cannot and will not remain the same. Walk forward with this knowing. Carry it like a light in your chest. Let it remind you in moments of doubt, in moments of fear, in moments when old wounds try to reopen, that the person you have become is someone remarkable, someone capable, someone complete. Because in the end, in the middle of every storm, in the silence of every night, in the ashes of every ending, one truth has always been waiting for you to notice it. It has always been you.